This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 970, Teaching Kids to Let It Go, by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. Hello, everybody, and thanks so much for joining me for another parenting episode of ORD. I am your host, Greg Audino, and I am glad to have you here today. Also glad to be sharing a great post for parents, courtesy of Rose Lounsbury, whose children are already on her case about Christmas, and giving her some ideas about how to help her kids let go of some toys for the sake of decluttering. A big-time clash against kids who love presents so much, but she's got some solutions. So let's hear what she's got for us now and start optimizing your life. Teaching Kids to Let It Go, by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. I hope I'm not the only mom in the world whose kids have already started talking, in rather surprising detail for this time of year, about what they'd like for Christmas. These discussions always spark a small sense of panic in me as I picture the invasion of new toys into my home. Now, of course, I want my kids to have presents, but the holidays are tough for minimalist-minded me, stuck between my goal of a clutter-free home and my desire to see my kids' faces light up on Christmas morning. Yes, we've talked about the real meaning of the holiday. No, it hasn't sunk in. When asked their favorite part about Christmas, my kids invariably answer, presents. Perhaps it's being 5 years old, perhaps it's being American, perhaps it's the elf on the shelf and Santa myths that I am fully responsible for bringing into our home. But my kids are stuck on presents. Let me be clear. Presents aren't bad. Presents are good. But too many presents equals crazy town, and I can't live in crazy town. My past solution has always been to surreptitiously spirit away the excess, outgrown toys to make room for the new ones. However, my kids are getting wise to my act. I am forced to answer questions like, where's my other magnet doll? And where's my snake? With, I don't know, which is a big fat lie. I bought those toys a one-way ticket to the Goodwill. The hypocrisy of trying to teach my kids good values while simultaneously lying to their faces is catching up with me. It's time to teach them the valuable lesson of letting go. The thing is, I don't really know how. Letting go of things I no longer need was a lesson I learned as an adult. I'm not exactly sure how to teach it to a child. My fear is that it will backfire and make my kids hold more tightly to their stuff. But the alternatives are either, 1, putting up with too much stuff in my home, which will result in the crazy town residents I spoke of earlier, or 2, continuing to get rid of my kids' toys behind their backs, which will breed distrust, which will result in us being a future Dr. Phil family. Dr. Phil: so when did you start abusing drugs? My kid: it was around the time my mom threw out my G.I. Joes. The choice is clear. I must teach my kids how to let it go. Cue the Frozen theme music, please. Here is where I've started. Talking. When the kids start discussing their Christmas wish lists, I mention the kids in the world who don't have any toys. I talk about how we won't have any room for new toys in our house unless we choose some old toys to give away to kids who need them. Funny thing, when I first mentioned this, my kids immediately headed to the toy box to pick out unwanted toys. I would like to think that this was because they really felt bad for those needy kids, but I realize it was because they wanted sufficient room for the new stuff. Oh well, I'll start with selfish practicality and work my way toward generosity. Once we filled a box or two, I want my kids to accompany me to the homeless shelter to drop off the toys. If they see their items being given to others in need, maybe they will realize that giving away toys is a good thing, and not just because it makes more room in our house. Finally, as we get closer to the holidays, I plan to let them pick some larger items to sell. I will let them keep the money, which I'm hoping will be a motivator, and in the end, I may have to break down and do some Grinch-like scrounging through the toy stash to get rid of the things I know they won't miss, but also won't part with willingly. But at least they will have had some experience letting it go first, and that is a start. Another good idea for helping older kids let go of things comes from my sister-in-law, Gabby. When her girl's bedroom became too cluttered, she let them each make a list of 10 things they wanted to keep in their room. Everything else had to find a new home. Granted, my clever niece Willa listed 20 pieces of clutter as one of her 10 things, but hey, Gabby said that this was still progress. Gabby said the best part was how proud her girls were of their open, organized room after they were done. Armed with my plan of teaching my kids to let go of their unwanted toys, I am looking forward to a holiday season without my usual clutter panic. And by the way, I sincerely apologize for even mentioning the H word this early in the year. Don't worry, you still have plenty of time to bake those gingerbread men and hang your stocking with care. I wish all of you a clutter-free start to the holiday season too. You just listened to the post titled, Teaching Kids to Let It Go by Rose Lounsbury of roselounsbury.com. And thanks a lot to Rose for sharing today and kicking off our parenting leg of the week. She definitely has some good tricks here that I think could cause even the stingiest of children to budge. But I think what I love most is her willingness to start talking to her kids about getting rid of toys as opposed to doing it behind their backs. If you choose to do the same, in addition to explaining to them the fact that there are other children in need, it might not also be the worst idea in the world to use their playfully selfish nature as leverage. Let them know the benefits that there will be for them by removing toys. And let it be a junior introduction to minimalism if that is something you value as a parent. Some examples can be more space to play with the toys they do have and the new ones they'll get, as well as having less cleanup time, which would have definitely sold me as a kid. So good luck out there, parents. We are in your corner as always here on ORD, and we will be back tomorrow with another parenting post actually. So if you took something from this one, be sure to stop in again then. We are done now, but I will hope to see you tomorrow and every day now that we are 7 days a week here on ORD, where your optimal life awaits.